Down to, and now we're live.
Oh my God, it worked again.
Yes.
And maybe it's time someone will
now
actually comment.
Well, don't encourage them, please. At least not yet. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Or one person that's watching out there. If you know who you are, you're the only person here. Thank you so much.
And our show is just for you because you were so kind to join us. Oh,
Right.
And someone else just did.
Two
How
people.
Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Bill Peschel.
And I'm Teresa Peschel.
And this is Agatha Christie They Watched. And this time we are going to look at The Secret of Chimneys.
And yes, there is a film version of this charming, delightful, very complicated romantic thriller. It is not a mystery per se. What it really is a romantic thriller. And so for those of you who expect Agatha Christie to be basically Poirot or Miss Marple or even Tommy and Tuppence, you will be taken aback. This is its own thing. It is a romantic thriller, just like The Man in the Brown Suit. And the film version has virtually nothing to do with
it has
the novel.
it has some of the characters. It has
some
a
of the
little
names
bit
match,
of it.
Some of the names match.
But let's talk first about the story on which this is based, because it is The Secret of Chimneys, and it is essentially a Ruritanian romance done Agatha Christie style. It was done early in her career. What do you think?
It's
her fourth
novel
book?
number 5.
Novel number 5. That's right. So it was so Brown Suit was before this.
Brown Suit came before this, and so did Secret Adversary.
Right.
So of the first six novels, the car show really got to me this morning. The Antique Automobile Club of America is headquartered in Hershey, and I went to meet my girlfriend at the Hershey Botanic Gardens to walk, and of course there was an absolute zoo of traffic all over town because the car show is in town, and some of the cars that you see in the film are now driving around Hershey right now. But anyway,
the novel itself came out in 1925.
Yes, one of her first 6 novels. And
so it's 100 years old.
It'll be 100 years old. It
is
100 years old.
It is 100 years old.
You're right,
I can't imagine why they're not celebrating this.
I don't know either. But her first 6 novels, 3 of them are Poirot's, and that would be Styles, Lynx, and Roger Ackroyd. But the other 3 are not. You know, there's Secret Adversary, which is Tommy and Tuppence, which is, of course, a charming spy caper, but also a romantic thriller. Brown Suit, which is a romantic thriller. And then Chimneys, which is a romantic thriller. And when I tell people about us, you get a dashing adventurer with a mysterious past who comes out of, adventures in Africa.
In fact, it starts in Africa. You have Anthony Cade and his friend.
And you have a damsel being blackmailed, and you have the stolen Kohinoor diamonds, and you have negotiations with this little tiny European kingdom, and you have behind it all the mysterious international jewel thief, and you have lots of concealed identities, and behind all of it is the missing heir to the little Middle European kingdom. And
Herzogoslavia.
Yes, she uses Herzogoslavia a couple of times later on as an all-purpose, Balkans kingdom.
Right.
As an all-purpose kingdom where basically anything can happen, and it's right out of Anthony Hope and The Prisoner of Zenda. I was going to say Anthony Zenda, and I knew that was wrong,
right.
But it's right out of The Prisoner of Zenda, and makes you wonder if Zelda in The Legend of Link comes from Zenda.
Could be.
Sorry, too many antique cars this morning.
But let me just do a little bit of the introduction here as far as the introduction of Chimneys, because it's Anthony Cade is in South Africa and in the wilds of South Africa, I think.
And this is important for the film because he is an adventurer.
Right. He's an adventurer. His partner is there.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy. They run across this guy who is dying, and he bequeaths to them a bundle of mail from this woman, Virginia, and it's being used for blackmail.
Yeah, blackmailing letters.
And Anthony decides he's a good guy. He's going to take it back to England and give them to her. And so he goes back to England and he runs.
This proves that despite being an adventurer in Africa, he is a gentleman.
He is a gentleman and an Englishman.
He is a diamond in the rough.
Well, I won't go into that. But anyway,
It's a classic trope. This
yeah.
is a standard trope because he doesn't think of blackmailing Virginia himself.
Yeah.
Nor does he read the salacious parts aloud in bars or anything like that. His first thought is he needs to return these compromising letters to this woman he knows nothing about. This is what a romance gentleman does, and I guarantee you Agatha read romances.
Yeah, absolutely. And so he goes back to London, meets Virginia Cade, and I don't know if he gives them to her or not at that moment, because she says, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I have a body to get rid of. Can you help?"
This is my kind of girl.
And so he ends up
and so he ends up helping Virginia in more ways than one, and he ends up at Chimneys, which he did not expect to do.
Now, Chimneys is a country home, because it was a surprise to me, because I always heard about the secret of Chimneys and I had no idea what it was. But Chimneys is the name of the home, one of those old English country houses.
And in this case, Hatfield House.
Yes, Hatfield House in England substituted for part of it.
A magnificent building, truly wonderful. A castle.
You might want to look it up, just because it's interesting to see how they're marketing the house. It's now a production studio. A lot of films, I actually write about it in Chimneys here. The first Wonder Woman movie, parts of it were filmed there. I know that there's some other movies as well. There's a whole list of them. And they brought Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, The Importance of Being Earnest. So it's done everything from Oscar Wilde historicals like Elizabeth the Golden Age. Hot Fuzz was filmed there too. They had a couple of scenes inside there as well.
Good Lord. And Tomb Raider, yes. And from the great classics to Tomb Raider, Hatfield House has hosted them all in the movies.
Yeah, Enola Holmes as well. But the point, though, is that, there were some interiors filmed at Nebworth House as well, but a lot of them were filmed here at Hatfield. And they market themselves as a film production studio, and they have a section. The original palace was built in Queen Elizabeth I's time, and the remains of it they refurbished, and you can be married there or have your wedding reception there or have a party there as well. So this is one of the ways that English country houses, with the forced eviction of the aristocracy.
And this does actually, I know that it doesn't sound like this has anything to do with the movie other than really great English house country porn in the background. But in a way it does.
Yeah, actually
because Miss Blankensop, who is not a character in the novel in any way, shape, or form, and who is far more manly, vigorous, and upright than either of our two major male leads, which is Anthony Cade and Bill Eversley, who were virtually identical Ken doll clones, God save us. I couldn't even tell them. I could barely tell them apart. And both of them had been thoroughly castrated for this movie. I don't know why. But Miss Blankensop was there both for ulterior motives, to find out what happened to the parlor maid from 23 years ago, who was a friend of hers, as a childhood friend, essentially, and because she worked for the National Trust, because as rich English families are on their uppers, what do you do with this crumbling ruin that takes £1 million a year to maintain? And we haven't even addressed repointing all the masonry and repairing the roof leaks, which
not to mention staffing it, which also plays a role here too.
Oh my God, that was so stupid.
Well, be calm. Let's just take it one at a time, because Blankensop, like you said, is from the National Trust, and she's a character that's hanging around there as well. She's been trying to get them to sell the house to them,
to hand it over to the National Trust, because what do you do with these enormous crumbling country houses when all of the money that the family used to have to maintain them and the staffing, and the world has changed. The world has changed dramatically. And Hatfield House, the owners of Hatfield House, whoever they
Chimneys.
Chimneys in this case, that is now disguised as Chimneys. They've worked it out, and they are probably really seriously raking in the bucks to basically keep that masonry repointed, keep all the masonry repointed, and to replace the roof, and to stop the leaks, and to restore all of the moth-eaten draperies, and to staff the building properly, and the gardening crew who are out there maintaining those hundreds of acres of beautifully clipped boxwood and yew, and the parterres, and the maze garden, and the immense flower beds, and my God, what a fabulous rose garden. And
actually,
that takes staff.
It reminds me of Biltmore House in Asheville, North Carolina, which we've seen several times. It's still in the family that that built it, the Vanderbilt family, although they're under a different name now, and they have been, it's now a tourist attraction, an amazing tourist attraction. You really should see it if you love country houses.
Oh my God, it is simply absolutely
And-
amazing, with amazing grounds, and the Pisgah National Forest in the backyard.
Right.
But you need this enormous staff to maintain this place, just to go through once a day with a duster. You start at one end of the house with the duster, and by the time you reach the end of the week, you're at the far end of the house, and then you go back to the beginning again because it is so big.
But first, let's talk about the plot for Secret of Chimneys. Like I said, this is a Miss Marple adventure with Julia McKenzie playing Miss Marple. This is ITV's version in 2010.
And she did her best with terrible material. She's one of the very few people on screen.
Don't reveal the
really
ending.
act.
Don't reveal your opinion.
No. But she is one of the very few cast members, because remember, I'll repeat again, the plot of Chimneys, the film, it takes certain elements from the novel, like the stolen diamond, the African adventurer, Virginia needing to decide if she's actually going to marry George Lomax or not. It takes actual plot elements and then throws the rest of the book away and just makes all of this really stupid stuff up.
Right.
Just remarkably stupid stuff up. It has this immensely complicated plot that made no sense whatsoever, and it castrated its male lead, Anthony Cade, who should be, well, they had this guy named, I'm reading his name here, Jonas Armstrong, who may be a perfectly acceptable actor, but you know what? He doesn't say dashing adventurer with, balls of steel, and you want me, baby, and you do, and I can hold my own anywhere in the world. And if they wanted to cast this properly, they would have used Aidan Turner, who could have managed to do something with this drastically underwritten role. Mm-hmm. And he is such a wuss. He is a Ken doll. He really is a Ken doll. He has no genitals.
Well, let's talk about the story itself so that you can see what we're talking about, because it starts in 1923. There's a party at the house, people dancing on...
No, 1932. It starts
32,
in 1932.
32.
And they're having this big gala dance, and George Lomax is there, a 20-year-old.
A young George Lomax, who is now older and in the Foreign Office. He's a Foreign Office official, and he comes into play in the main part of the story. But he's there as the young
assistant with his godmother, who is a cougar in disguise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some of these people are here, obviously.
Lord Caterham is
his wife.
The single maid in the entire castle, Agnes, and the other maid, Treadwell, is out there serving all of these people, and you think, okay, where's the staff in the kitchen? Where are the gardeners? Where's the butler? Where are any of these people? But they're having this huge fancy party, and in the morning it is discovered that the Mysore diamond has been stolen.
Apparently from one of the guests. In fact, the godmother had the Mysore.
George Lomax's godmother brought the diamond, so it's not a blood relationship, folks. It's a friend of the family, like Stacy's mom.
Well,
but anyway,
then, yeah.
Anyway, ITV will always go there. You can count on ITV,
and they did in this case as well.
Always go there because they want to show on screen what most of us only hint at. But anyway, so in the morning after the party, they discover that Agnes the housemaid has vanished, and so has the Mysore diamond. And so the reference is obvious that this 18-year-old lady's maid has stolen this diamond that is the size of a golf ball and disappeared with it.
Right.
And nobody really seems to go looking for her hard. And it apparently somehow destroys Lord Caterham's career. And you think, okay, stolen jewelry. I mean, that's kind of important, but I can't see that it would destroy his career.
In the diplomatic service.
And they kind of closed up the house, and then he had the children with, and it was kind of unclear as to whether Bundle was Virginia's older sister or younger sister.
Yes, there's two sisters, Virginia and Bundle. They
love Joy.
Yes,
that's short for Bundle of Joy.
Right.
And this is another thing that the film did really badly and the book did really well. Eileen Brent which is actually Bundle's real name in the book, Eileen Brent is a character in her own right, and she's vivid and she's funny and she's attractive and she's, a major part of the family. And in the film, they turned her into this dowdy, frizzy-haired, brunette, unwanted sister. Every single person that you see is dismissive to Bundle, including her own father and her own sister, because clearly she is not a wanted member of the family. And you think, oh, so the vapid blonde, who is Virginia, is somehow more important than her sister, who is, because she is not a blonde, is apparently ugly.
Well, she also dresses like a man. She's shirt and pants, whereas Virginia is always in dresses and frilly dresses. And there's lots of talks, especially George Lomax thinks that she's innocent, although she really looks on the verge of 30.
Yeah,
but they style her. They try to style her young.
They're trying to style her as though she is 23 years old, which is an important plot point. They're trying to style Virginia as though she is 23 years old, and I have to assume that I don't know if Bundle is younger or older, is the older sister or the younger sister, and but that always bothers me. That always bothers me when I see Hollywood taking, the blonde, no matter how vapid and insipid and black hole on the screen she is, somehow she's stunningly gorgeous. Oh my God, everybody has to flutter around her. And the obviously more interesting, more intelligent, not quite as beautiful Hollywood ugly here, folks. She's the woman, the actress playing Bundle is still more beautiful than anybody you will ever meet in the course of your everyday life. And somehow she is supposed to be ugly and unwanted, even though she is more interesting in every way. But she's not blonde.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But one other thing you also know, and this is what you learn in the first minute of the show, is that the maid is dead.
Yes, the maid is dead.
She didn't run off with the diamond. She's dead. She was in the hallway, this beautiful black and white diamond chessboard hallway, dancing to the music.
In our kitchen.
Eventually. Yeah, that's a different conversation. And she sees this couple canoodling. We see the shadow on the wall. Apparently they're somewhere else and they're canoodling, maybe on the porch or something.
Yeah,
and she knows somebody is approaching.
You keep seeing this close-ups of this lurid painting of, I guess it's Adam and Eve naked and cavorting in the Garden of Eden, to give you an idea, which is really surprising that ITV didn't show you anything.
Surprisingly restrained.
They were surprisingly restrained, and that's because the big reveal comes at the end of the film, and so they don't want you to know who this cavorting couple is. And so ITV has to have some nudity in here somewhere. So they're using fine art as a substitute for physical nudity, which again is really quite restrained for them.
Right. And the maid sees somebody coming and she's approaching them saying, don't come any closer. She doesn't want that person to see the couple. And she gets pushed aside and she falls down on this metal container that holds fire, or it holds firewood, I would guess, by the fireplace, and it has big pointy spikes up that help impale her, and she's dead.
And somehow there is no blood anywhere.
And somehow there's no blood. Now, ordinarily, and again, this is where we start. If you start thinking about the plot, okay, let's say that the guy leaves her there and the body's discovered. Oh, the maid fell over. The maid's dead. Oh, what a shame. Let's bury her and, compensate the relatives and all that. She must have fallen for some reason. And then that's the end of the story. But for some reason, whoever this person is decides, oh my God, I've got to hide this body, which he does in a crypt,
a convenient crypt,
somehow manages to take the body out,
and nobody sees. He carries this blood,
in the dark.
Think there would be blood, and I guess he mopped the floor because somebody's
got
those floors.
You can't say I told the maid to do this,
and it's not one of the servants because there are none.
And then he steals
the Mysore diamond.
The Mysore diamond. Instead of since we know who it is, he could have said, he could have just stolen his wife's jewelry. Jewelry's jewelry. You don't have to go steal a guess. Now, this is in the book. It's the Koh-i-Noor diamond, which is like one of the biggest diamonds in the world. The British acquired it in India. It has numerous owners. It has legends associated. It's like stealing the Hope Diamond in the Smithsonian Institution. And that's one reason why he lost his career in the service. in the diplomatic service. So he could have just stolen his wife's jewelry and threw it in the coffin with him, and none of it again.
But you wouldn't have this stupid dopey plot.
And that's what you get the impression of as each plot twist happens. You realize, oh, they have to do it this way because it's the stupid plot. I think Roger Ebert talked about that.
It is a stupid plot.
It is the stupid plot where people have to do
plot.
stupid things in order to advance the story. And again, this is one of those things as we go along, and there's more. I actually have a little list this long of various
Bill really worked on this. He really worked
of
on
all
this.
the stupid things that were happening. And what this all sounds like is they had all these plot points on the wall. They had all these cute things like, oh, let's have them send a love letter in the form of sheet music that has to be, you have to decode the notes, and somehow they have a code in which the 8-octave notes on the piano,
A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
and then the black notes.
No.
Well,
the second octave is H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, and then
the black
P, the black keys become P through Z, and Bundle is able to work this out. Because she is the smart girl. Remember, she's a brunette and she's plain, which means that by definition she must be smart. The only thing they didn't do was put glasses on her, honest to God. But Bundle works it out, and oh God. And then you have the Inspector Finch showing up, and apparently he has this huge history with Miss Marple, and yet you never get a flashback, you never get a single, and this film is loaded with flashbacks back to the night of the party in 1932. You never get any kind of an explanation for why Inspector Finch knows who Miss Marple is, other than she has ruined the reputation of half the force. But she hasn't. Miss Marple always steps back and lets someone else take the credit. She provides the reason, the theory, but it's not her job to go out there and do the legwork to find the clues. That's what police are for.
Yeah.
And you don't have any idea why this Inspector Finch, first off, is pissy and resentful that she's there, recognizes her on the spot when he sees her,
and then
but still works with her.
Yeah. He actually calls her out and says, Miss Marple, will you come with me? And they have this long talk, and they have numerous long talks.
And this can be done so much better, because if you watch the Helen Hayes, A Caribbean Mystery, Helen Hayes, as Miss Marple, has a conversation with Leo McKern, who is the inspector for the murder, and he says, I know all about you, Miss Marple, because I happen to know Sir Henry Clithering, who has talked about you, and Inspector Slack, who has said da-da-da-da. And it's a great scene. And just in a couple of minutes, you know that Leo McKern, because I can't remember the inspector's name, his character's name, he knows who this woman is. He knows exactly what she is like. He knows exactly how to deal with her. And please do not play the dithery, dotty old lady with me. I know better. But you do not get that with Inspector Finch. And you get nothing.
And you have great lines like, he also said you're deceptively cooperative.
Yes. It's a wonderful
scene.
And it's a great scene, and it shows you how the police force feels about Miss Marple, whereas in Secret of Chimneys you get nothing.
Oh, it's not, you mentioned Caribbean Mystery. It's not that. That was a different conversation with the guy who went with the Caribbean police officer who went to Herndon Police College, which is a real thing in Britain. And
but it's the same idea.
It's the same idea. This
Donald Pleasant. It's the Joan Hickson.
They do it with mirrors.
No, this is the
Leo McKern and Helen Hayes were in.
They do it with mirrors. Sorry, it was not
mirrors.
A Caribbean Mystery. Sorry,
Yeah.
They do it with mirrors. But in A Caribbean Mystery, the Joan Hickson version, you have this wonderful similar scene where Mr. Raphael is talking to the local Bermuda policeman.
That's right.
And he says, "Oh my God, I know who that woman is."
And again,
mind like a bacon slicer, the best forensic brain in England.
Yep.
But this is what you do. But here in The Secret of Chimneys, Inspector Finch, you get nothing. You get not a single
he read the reports in which Miss Marple participated, and he mentions that later. So you have all these little plot points you're trying to put together. Like in the beginning, you're saying, why is he saying that he ruined the reputations? That's terrible. That's horrible. And again, they keep trying to tie all these plot points together, and it does not work.
let's see, I'm looking at
Yeah,
our
well-
time, and I'm looking at our list.
Well,
So
but we can
so
go on
moving
with it.
down, okay, we have there's a scene in which Virginia is making a model of the of Chimneys with Bill Eversley, and Bill is dithering over the statistics, and I'm thinking, wow, he really put that a rather complicated model.
It's a
of
model of
Chimneys
the
and
house and where
the floor
everybody
plan of the
is
house, and
at the time of the murder,
and
the time the shot was heard. That's important.
and then they don't really do anything with it. But I also wondered, how did he manage to build this in jig time, including cutting out all of the windows? It's really quite remarkable. Anthony Cade, remember, he's supposed to be a dashing, mysterious, hot and sexy adventurer, someone who can hold his own in a fight, someone who can walk through the wilds of Africa wherever he is, and he will be okay. And instead, you get this dweeb who shows up. You originally meet him. He rescues Virginia from an attack,
a mugger,
from a masked mugger who turns out later to be Bill Eversley. And then for not a bad reason, but then he shows up at Chimneys in the middle of the night because he has to get this diamond back. This is the only reference to Africa that his dear friend gambled, and there's this villain in Pretoria who says, I have to have you get me the Mysore diamond, which, remember, has been missing for 23 years and was last seen at Chimneys. You get me this diamond in 6 weeks, or your best friend in the entire world. And so there's Anthony Cade, and he has to explore this entire monster castle, which presumably has been searched for the diamond in the past, and the grounds, and he has to do it, in that 6-week window from leaving Pretoria, coming up to England, discovering meeting Virginia, and I guess that's part of the way of getting.
That's why Chimneys. The attack happened, so that he could befriend Virginia
and not be immediately thrown out as the gate crasher that he so clearly is, the unwanted, unsexy gate crasher. And but somebody tells him, I guess it's Virginia, tells him about the secret passageway, and then he tells Virginia, remember, he came all the way to from Africa, to set up meeting Virginia so he could get into Chimneys to get this diamond to save his bestest friend in the entire world from certain death. And he says, I'll give you the diamond.
Well, this is near the end. He's been suspected of murder. He's been arrested.
Because he's found in the corridor with the dead count. Wait till I get to that.
The secret corridor with the dead count. So he comes back in and he races back in. This is in the middle. This is not in the middle of the night. I mean, everybody's in the room outside the secret corridor.
Is later on. This is later on towards the end.
And he rushes in and he says, I'm going to find that. He's rushing in. He's in the secret passage, hammering away at the bricks because he thinks the bricks.
The diamond is concealed somewhere in the bricks. But
this whole brick, has no idea where it is.
And yet, if you are actually looking for if you have a brick wall that is clearly 500 years old, you will be able to tell from the masonry where a couple of bricks were chiseled out and a little hollow, and then the bricks mortared back in place, because you cannot match the masonry, and it will show. And the only way you can match the masonry is if you repoint the entire brick wall that is holding up the castle on top, but the family has no money to repoint any of the bricks. So it should have been obvious, and it's clearly obvious that nobody has ever done anything with these bricks, and you would have been able to tell. Anybody would have been able to tell. And by the way, they were also contaminating the crime scene. Inspector Finch was contaminating crime scenes everywhere he went. And even in 1955, which is when this takes place, you can date it because they tell you in the film, even by 1955, they knew better than to let amateurs, traipse around where the body was found, because you're going to look for things.
But even so, the point behind all this is
handling
that
all the evidence without gloves.
Why he's going in there and he's trying to smash at the bricks with a hammer. That's about it, and screaming, "I am going to find this and I'm going to give it to you." And all we can think of is, so you're letting your friend in Pretoria die because you want to give the diamond to your girlfriend.
Yes, whom you have just met.
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
And then,
and then of course the police follow him in and arrest him. So all that was for nothing anyway. So he was doing a dumb thing for the wrong reasons, and he gets caught.
but it was for the right reason, because it had to provide an essential clue. He had to be stupid for the benefit of the plot, because he had to provide the clue. So there's Miss Marple there. The rest of the group are assembled around Bill Eversley's remarkably complicated model that he put together in about half an hour's time of where everybody is supposed to be, and they're hearing the dull thud and thinking, and then you hear a gunshot or something like that, and it's like, well, we heard a much louder gunshot when the Count was murdered. So
it's an actual clue there. So it's
yes,
a good
that
clue.
is an actual clue. And so Miss Marple says, "Oh, he couldn't have done it. We would have heard it. The sound is not right."
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why Anthony Cade was arrested was, of course, because the first time through the tunnel, he was discovered with the body of Count Ludwig, who is somehow this Austrian count, and he is there to negotiate, basically signing over the iron reserves of Austria in exchange for a deed to Chimneys.
And I guess other things as
and
well.
Maybe one would hope some other things. And you're thinking, the Austrian government really let you do this? Really? You're going to sign over millions of dollars worth of iron ore to the Brits in exchange for a crumbling English mansion? Really?
I'm sure there was probably other issues as well, but they don't really go. Again, this is written by people who have no idea about negotiations and no idea about what countries do.
Yeah, they have absolutely no idea.
Among other
things.
And
then you discover that apparently, I guess the war really changed a lot of people's lives. Suddenly, this is Count Ludwig.
It's also revealed
back in 1932, he was a fiddle player in the orchestra
at the party at the beginning of the show.
At the beginning of the show, and I'm thinking, but you were a fiddle player, you were a violinist, and now suddenly you're a count with the ability to negotiate on behalf of the Austrian government. So what, you were slumming, you were you were like the third son, and your two older brothers got it in the war, and that's why you are now a count, and you have your own crumbling Schloss, you have your own crumbling castle in Austria that
and we don't know what he did
of dollars,
and we didn't know what he did during the war either.
Nothing. So, you get nothing.
Who knows?
You get nothing. All you know
Give us
is
in Argentina the whole time. Trust me.
Who knows? And that makes absolutely no sense at all. We have no idea how it became a count. And then it's revealed that back in 1932, and I'm going to say a spoiler here, it is revealed. You do that so well. Back in 1932, it is revealed that he has been having a torrid affair with Lord Caterham's wife, Madeline. And let me say right now, also, another thing that ITV likes to do is change the identity of the murder. When they are rewriting the entire plot from start to finish, they change the identity of the murderer, and that's what they do here. And Lord Caterham discovers that his wife is having an affair with this fiddle player from Austria, and that apparently whenever they were able to get together because of the diplomatic stuff, you have traveling band and you have the traveling diplomat, and so sometimes they meet, and then I guess they have a hot and sexy afternoon in some hotel room, Madeline and the fiddle player. And he is very upset about this because his wife is in love with the fiddle player, and not that she has said anything, she's just carrying on the affair.
Mm-hmm. And Lord Caterham is the one who killed the maid accidentally, pushed her off out of the way, and he could have just simply walked away. And well, it's just a mystery, she fell, slipped on something. She must have
slipped on those highly polished black and white tiles.
Yeah.
If she was spinning around and dancing, it would be easy to slip and fall because those tiles had been waxed to a fairly well. When you see the shadows on them, it's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but none of these people who write any of this stuff ever wax their own floors. They never clean their own floors, so they don't know the work involved.
Yeah. So it's poor Edward Fox, who is a longtime actor, one of my favorites. He's appeared in some other Agatha Christie's as well, and he gets to play the sullen Lord Caterham, and trying to pretend. And believe me, I think if you're an actor and you're having to
He's
say
one
this
of the few
crap,
actors on screen who actually looks like he knows how to act.
Yep.
Julia McKenzie as Miss Marple knows how to act. Edward Fox knows how to act. George Lomax is played by Adam Godley. He knows how to act. And I would guess the next person on screen who actually knows how to act would have been Ruth Jones as Miss Blenkinsop, because she comes across as a character, as a fully realized character, as a person. Maybe Bundle comes across as a fully realized person. But Anthony Cade, Bill Eversley, totally interchangeable Ken dolls. Virginia, the actress playing Virginia, the vapid, empty blonde. You get Treadwell, and this was another thing. God! So in 1932, Treadwell was one of the 2 maids at the castle. 2, count them, 2, because Agnes and Treadwell, and she's out there serving on the lawn, and there's secrets that she knows, and then she becomes, 23 years later, she is the sole employee at the castle. She is the maid, she is the cook, she is the butler, she is the gardener. You never see anybody else. And because she is the housekeeper and trusted member of the family, she is eating dinner that she cooked herself. She is eating dinner, and that she leaps up and serves too, I guess, with the family and their guests. And sorry, it doesn't work that way.
Aristocratic families don't operate like this.
No, they do not.
It's all right in a way. We've seen plenty of Agatha Christie's in which there's only a few servants around. That's what made the French Hercule Poirot's Christmas
wonderful.
So wonderful, because they show you the entire staff. I mean, they have
at least 15 people, and many of them you actually meet on screen. For in various parts of the film, at least 15 people to keep that chateau running. And here is Hatfield House standing in for Chimneys, and they have 1 person. And sometimes, and at one point, you actually see Treadwell out there in this immaculate garden with walls of yew trimmed into neat, perfect hedges. The batten on them is just perfect, perfectly battened, perfectly shaped.
And she's cutting flowers for the table.
And she's snipping flowers for the table when she is not busy cooking a 6-course dinner for 10.
Although it does give Lord Catherham the opportunity to slip foxglove into the soup so that everybody gets sick, and that covers up the murder of Treadwell as well.
Oh God! And of course, Lord Caterham, who is not the murderer and who's a very nice man, is made over into the murderer in this story because, oh my God, his wife was cheating on him. And this is an English aristocracy thing. They all cheat right and left.
And you haven't revealed the last one of all about Virginia's true parentage.
Virginia's true father is, of course, the fiddle player. And then at the end, when Virginia is suddenly realizing that her true father, not the man who raised her, the man that she loves, her father whom she loves. No, it's the fiddle player, and her mother was an adulterer, committed adultery with this fiddle player as often as possible, often enough to get knocked up. And she's like, "Oh, a man that I met for only an hour is clearly my father, and I can't have anything to do with you anymore, Dad, who raised me for 23 years
and who I thought was your father.
Who I thought was my father, and I thought my mother was this wonderful person, even though she was an adulteress." And she's like, and you're thinking, she should be really upset. She should be really conflicted. She should be like, what? Yep. And then the magic diamond, the coded musical message is the wall of Virginia Creeper. And you're thinking,
that's what the secret message of, so that the Count would go there
and realize that his daughter, the girl named Virginia, the young woman named Virginia, was his daughter.
Even though it wasn't really implied as such in the letter itself. It just said, if you do this and take these steps and go here.
The diamond is on the wall, and the wall is covered with Virginia Creeper. And that's supposed to tell you that the Lord Caterham's vapid blonde daughter is actually your vapid blonde daughter.
And they meet for only a few minutes you know,
They
well,
have
I
a
have
waltz. They waltz together.
on the lawn.
On the lawn. They have a little bit of time together. You know, like maybe if we added up all of the time, knowing that movie time is compressed, they had maybe like 10 minutes. No, an hour. They probably had like
because they went into
hour.
dinner.
They went into dinner.
And then there was negotiations afterwards, and then he's killed. So
and then he's murdered in the and his dying words are "Die Wand, die Wand," which is of course Austrian for the wall, the wall.
Mhm.
And so that's why everybody thinks the diamond is inside the wall, despite the fact that the masonry shows clearly that no bricks have been removed
Yep.
and replaced. And instead we end up out there. You also have the clue, and this I think does come out of the book. The Duke of Richmond is not the painting, it is the rose.
Mhm.
And for those of you who are not up on the flower world, flowers are named because that's how catalogs can sell them. And so there are like simply thousands of named varieties of roses. There is even one named after Milton Hershey, and one named after Catherine Hershey, and one named after Agatha Christie. And a rose fancier an expert rose fancier with a good guidebook might be able to look at that big rose garden and say, oh yes, this is the Duke of Richmond rose right next to the Agatha Christie rose, and this other yellow over here is the Golden Showers rose. Well, Miss Marple happens to knows her roses, and so she's able to go out into this rose garden and immediately identify the Duke of Richmond rose amidst all the other roses.
Right. And there was a portrait of the Duke of Richmond inside the house as well, and that was a red herring. So there.
And this
does not tie
so
together.
Awful. This has nothing to do with the book. Do not judge the book by this terrible movie. If you would like to read the book, I think it's a fun book. Read our annotated copy, but only available in the U.S. because of copyright laws. But it's a fun book. It is a romantic thriller. It is a lighthearted adventure. You can see she is almost parodying how like maybe P.G. Wodehouse would write something like this.
Mhm.
She wanted something frothy and fun and amusing, and that's what she got. That's what she got.
Yeah, and the reviews for the book itself, this is before Roger Ackroyd, remember, are positive. I think there's like 1 or 2 negative reviews, but the rest of it was just, this is up to her standard. So Agatha Christie was doing well basically from the first novel. Styles got very good reviews. That was a surprise to me because right now, Chimneys is regarded, I think, All
Next
About
to
Agatha is like at the bottom.
When it really should be Postern of Fate. Should be at
Well,
the
I'm sure it
bottom.
probably is, but
better
it's
than Postern
really
of Fate.
low. And they're comparing it to Murder on the Orient Express, and then there were none, Roger. And, you know, so when you have all those really, really high quality classic mysteries, yeah, Secret of Chimneys, somebody has to be at the bottom, but it's still readable.
And it is not a mystery.
Still good.
It is not a mystery. It is a romantic thriller. It is a completely different genre. And it is like complaining that you're reading True Grit. And then complaining that it is not a romance. Well, True Grit is a Western. It is not a romance. It is something different. This is a romantic thriller. The tropes are different. The characters are different. It is not a mystery, and you cannot read it expecting a mystery. You read it as a lighthearted romantic thriller.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I just want to, this is Mark Aldridge's book, Agatha Christie on Screen, a very valuable resource.
Oh, great book. He's a really nice guy too. We've met him at the Agatha Christie conference and
check out his
festival.
podcast, The Swinging Christies. Well worth a listen.
Absolutely.
But I just wanted to mention, I have to, his opinion on the production feels cheap and stagey with an unusually weak cast, resulting in an amateurish adaptation that once more resembles a poorly executed parody. And yes, if you want to parody Agatha Christie, they did a really good job here.
Oh my God. It was so disappointing from start to finish. It's, you know, Julia McKenzie did her best with a terrible script, and Edward Fox did his best with a terrible script, and the rest of them were, I guess they have careers.
Well, but it shows just how a professional actor acts. That Edward Fox probably read this and said, this is Tosh, and he plays it straight down the line to the best of his abilities. And that's what professionalism is about.
The check caches. And I would say that Adam
Well-
Godley as George Lomax also did very well.
Yeah.
He looks like a really long time character actor because his face is his fortune, and he has kind of a very offbeat, skinny, awkward look.
Yeah,
But
he's not a hero
not
or
a
a lover.
leading
He's
man.
he's balding. He's got kind of a pinched face.
But
you know.
he plays this kind of character really well, and I have no idea if he has a huge career where you've seen him in 1,000 movies. But most of the cast were just not there.
Yeah.
They just were not there. And it should be so much better. This is someday they will film this. They did film there is kind of a sequel.
There's
The Seven Dials Mystery is a very loose sequel because it involves Bill Eversley and Eileen Bundle Brent. It starts off in Chimneys again. It is a very loose sequel, and it also doesn't get a lot of love. But you have to look at the Seven Dials as it is like a mashup of P.G. Woodhouse's Bright Young Men in Spats and
Bertie Wooster meets Agatha Christie
and thrillers, like a John Buchan. John Buchan thrillers, and she really. You think you're reading one book with secret dials, and then you get to the end and you realize everything you thought was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a really great sensation in a novel. So there is a sequel. The Seven Dials was filmed back in like 1982, and it's actually very funny. It's a very amusing film. We have to watch it again.
James Warwick from the Tommy and Tuppence.
Oh, that's right. He played Jimmy Theisinger.
Yeah.
And yes, it's.
And there's a new version
I won't spoil that for you.
Yeah, that the BBC.
No, not the BBC. Netflix, and they still haven't released it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no idea because it has been months and months and months and months and months because they announced this like way into last year for the Secret of Chimney for the Seven Dials Mystery, and we have
it has been released.
Has it?
Yeah. But it's on the BBC because I looked at it yesterday, looked it up, and it's available on that iPlayer for BBC.
But it's a Netflix film.
Well, they may have had it on Netflix as well. I'm not sure.
But I haven't seen. But usually Agatha Christie Limited on the Instagram, they would have it everywhere, all over their Instagram, and I haven't seen.
We will look it up. This is
it.
part of our research that makes us famous on YouTube on this corner.
Sure.
But let's just go ahead and wrap it up because next time, what are we doing? Our next episode. It's on the calendar over there. See?
Oh, it is. It is on the calendar.
on the 15th that we're going to watch Styles, the David Suchet Styles.
That's right.
We're going to finally get moved from the 3 romantic thrillers over to the first 3 Poirots. And the first one we're going to watch is Mysterious Affair at Styles.
And then we're going to take
and we'll live stream it on the 16th.
Yes.
So
and
at 11:30.
And then we're going to take a week off. Even though it's not any kind of a holiday or anything, the 22nd of October, my mother is coming. My 87-year-old mother is coming to Hershey, and she is more important than watching Agatha Christie and live streaming. So, but we will have the 15th of October. We will do the David Suchet Styles, and then we will do the other 2 Styles after that. Yes, there are 3 versions of Styles. So David Suchet, which is the gold standard, Les Petites Morettes with their version of Styles, which is not like any version you've ever considered that Styles would become, including drinking the blood of children. And followed then by Hungarian Styles, which is, again, not like anything you have ever considered before. It is truly a piece of avant-garde weirdness. So I hope you will join us for 3 versions of Styles starting on Wednesday, the 15th.
Well, we're watching it on Wednesday, but on the 16th, Thursday at 11:30, we'll be there.
There, I got the times right. Look
Absolutely. At that. All right. But thank you so much for
joining us,
for tuning in. We appreciate you all. Hopefully we'll have more as time goes on, but we're going to be doing this every Thursday with occasional interruptions for a while. Okay.
And please do not judge the book by this terrible movie. Read the book and forget everything you ever imagined with this terrible movie where Miss Marple pulls the solution out of her knitting bag. Yes,
literally
she
out of her knitting
pulls
bag.
it out of her knitting bag.
All right. Thank you very much.
You so
we
much.
appreciate it. Bye-bye.
And we had 4 people at one point.